So your landlord has refused to give you permission to carry out alterations to your flat. What are your rights? The starting point is to get your lease out and actually physically review the terms of the lease. You'll find a provision in your lease which is usually termed an alienation clause, which will actually describe how your landlord should conduct himself when that request is made. So the lease will either have an absolute prohibition on alterations, so the lease will say something on the lines, under no circumstances are you permitted to carry out any alterations. If that's contained in your lease, it's pretty much binding, so you're at your landlord's mercy as to whether or not you can undertake those the proposed alterations. Most leases, however, have what's called a qualified prohibition or a qualified alienation clause, which will provide that your landlord's consent is required to carry out alterations, and such consent should not be unreasonably withheld. In those circumstances, you need to look at the actual nature of the alterations and whether it is reasonable in the circumstances for your landlord to authorise those. If you feel that your landlord has unreasonably withheld his consent, then you can seek advice from the Anthony Gold's Leasehold Services team, and we'll be able to give you a view on whether that is the case in law. What I would stress is don't carry out the alterations if you don't have the consent. We occasionally find ourselves giving advice to unsuspecting leaseholders who've carried out the alterations, and when they're coming to sell the flat, maybe the landlord views the particulars on the sales particulars on Rightmove, and he sees that there's been some alterations carried out. There is no obligation on a freeholder to grant retrospective consent. The freeholder's entitlement is actually to force you to reinstate, so they could make you, if you've removed a structural wall to open up a kitchen and a dining room into an open plan space, the landlord can force you to reinstate the wall. If you don't comply with the landlord's request, then you could be subject to forfeiture proceedings. More than likely, your landlord will probably ask you to pay some money to regularise the position, but it's not a position that we like to find clients in. So if you've got difficulties getting consent from your landlord, give the Anthony Gold Leasehold Services team a call. We'll be able to give you some guidance on the best way forward.